All right, we're here with our client from Options Trading University, Jason. Jason, how has the market been treating you the past couple weeks?
So I got to be honest. It's been fairly tumultuous, and certainly not something that I would have wanted to do alone. But with the VIX spiking like it did, obviously coming back down, tariff talks, trade talks, all kinds of fun, it rolled up into one. This was probably the worst time for me to start deciding that I wanted to learn how to trade options.
I would agree with you there because you joined literally um, kind of at the peak of the market, and then a month after the market started tanking. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's been a crazy time, but you've had a lot of success. I want to kind of take it back a little, like, and kind of for the audience to get to know a little bit about you. Like, what do you do, kind of day to day, and how did you get started with options trading?
So I am a self-made entrepreneur. I have a couple of businesses involved in plants, whether that be, uh, we'll call it, well, I guess one would be completely federally legal, and then the other business, being cannabis, would be only state legal in certain states.
Mhm.
But horticulturist by trade, grower, and then so been in the plant business all my life. Always interested in markets, just never really knew how to participate in them other than throwing a bunch of money in a 401k, and then buying blue chip stocks, Apple, those kind of things, Google, and just letting them sit. And I happened to be going down some weird rabbit hole on YouTube, and Ryan popped up, and I'm like, what's this guy talking about? Because he had these cool graphics behind his head. That's what caught me. I'm not on social media a lot. I don't generally get on YouTube a lot. And so I just watched a few videos and I was like, love learning things. So I said, maybe I could try my hand at learning options. And so here we are.
Nice. So this is a recent thing for you. This is like not something you've been trying for the past few years. It was like you were kind of stumbled upon my videos and that was it. Just kind of started from there.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Have friends that do some trading. I have a mentor that does some pretty serious day trading.
Okay.
He's trying to get me into it, but he wants to talk about terms that half of them I can't even pronounce. So,
Mm,
I just don't have time for that. I mean, again, in my businesses, I'm 7 days a week pretty much, so
right.
I don't have a ton of extra time. But I do love learning, and quite frankly, I do love making money. So I saw this as a money making opportunity at some point. And so yeah, just jumped in with both feet, started watching some of your videos, and then got your newsletter. And at the bottom it said, "Hey, you want to do this like me? Click this." And I said, "Huh, okay, all right."
Yep.
In.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and like you said, because you're a busy guy, like this is not something that, you want to be doing kind of 8 hours a day in front of the computer. Um, And you've been making some decent gains. I mean, you
Yeah.
closed out some Palantir leaps today for several thousand. Earlier or last week, you closed out some trades for another several thousand. So it's been pretty crazy to see your growth from like just starting options trading to you're one of the top traders in the group. So
Yeah, I
it's pretty cool
joked
to
with
see.
you earlier that,
Yeah.
our first call, I said, "Hey, Ryan, I'm literally at work 7 days a week between my businesses. So I don't really know how to participate in this." And you said, "Well, look, let's just put on some, I believe we did initially, we just did some 28-day put options where I wouldn't even have to look at the screen and
Right.
until the end of the month or on I think it was the third Friday of the month is the way that we timed it. Uh,
Yep.
so I said, great, this would be great. And then I started seeing more and more messages about how you were closing trades out, thousand here, a couple thousand there. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, wait a minute. I want in on some of that. So from there, I jumped back in and started managing it. And I'm not managing it all day, every day at all. But I jumped back in, and especially with the way that the market was fluctuating, Moved in and out of some trades. So I'd say I probably spend 30 minutes a day at
Okay.
max on it. Um, and yeah, so then of course started seeing those greens and started racking up the profit. So from then I was hooked, and so now I would say I'm probably spending an hour, possibly hour and a half every day on
Okay.
it, Monday through Friday,
Yeah.
but still not an exorbitant amount of time. Um, but I would also say, and you could maybe agree with me here, that because of the market volatility right now, that's really the only reason why I'm having to do that. But it is turning into very big positive gains. So I'm happy to do that because I can make good money in my business, but making 4 grand over 5 days is a pretty good return, I would say. So yeah, very very
100.
happy with return so far.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what's cool about it too is you have the ability to decide how active you want to be with it, right? As far
Sure.
as do I want to just sell cash secured puts and kind of, let it do its thing, or do I want to, participate in some leaps call options and being a little bit more active with it. So that's cool to hear that. Yeah, what would you say like what is the big takeaways that you've gotten from this market crash? Because this is one of the fastest crashes that has happened in history. I mean, I think it's the fifth fastest crash in history. And as a new trader, someone new to options, like experiencing the fifth fastest crash, like what have the key takeaways have been, and like how have you been able to kind of navigate through it, make profits through it, and kind of keep an even, um, the fear kind of down a little bit.
Sure. So I mean, I would say credit yourself on a lot of that and being part of your program because if I was doing this alone, I would have cashed out as soon as the VIX hit 40 and been done. I would have just walked away and tucked my tail between my legs and said, "Hey, I'll just keep this in cash on the side and we'll figure out something else to do here and forget options trading." Um,
Hmm.
but the great thing about Options Trading University and being with you is you've sort of been handholding every one of us. You've been side by side with us the entire time, reassuring us. Even though at some points I know I'm probably not alone in saying that I was looking at my portfolio going, oh, man, I don't know that Ryan even knows what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you did because you were looking at the same thing, right?
Yep.
But just having you there to assure us that, hey guys, just calm down. We're going to make it through. And actually, if you want to make real money, this is the time to put more money in. And certainly the most counterproductive conversation that I ever thought I'd have. Yet here we are. And now I'm making big profit gains because I trusted you and I trusted the process at that time. So quite frankly, man, pat on the back to yourself because if you weren't there doing this with me and with us as a group, I would have given up probably on what April 10th. I think April 8th or 9th was
Yep. The big
tariff,
drop.
right? Yeah. So yeah. So thanks for that for sure.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Jason. Yeah, it is hard through those times when it's, the fear is high, but like you said, that's when the real profits are made. So yeah, how I guess how have you been able to just say, hey, like when the VIX is high, it's so let's go back to actually one comment you made in the Discord. You said it feels weird to want the market to be red, like to want the market to come down. Why did you say that?
That's when I've made all my money. I mean,
Okay.
it's I think, and you've explained that to us very well, not only in the course but also live in our community. And I think that it is very counterintuitive for somebody that doesn't have a ton of market experience when they see everything blood red and they see their portfolio value, even though it's an on paper sort of value, they still look at that as their hard earned capital being completely sucked away from, as did I.
Mm,
Um,
hmm.
but to know that hey, there is a process here, and there is 50 years of backed trading behind this that says at some point, we don't know when that point is, but at some point this will flip. And if it flips and you make the right moves, you can gain 5x, 6x, 10x potentially if you make the right calls in this type of market. And so yeah, so now it's almost like that, it's it's kind of, I'm trying to think of a good metaphor to use here, but it's like that shot of adrenaline. Like you get it once, and then you're like, okay, when's it happening again? Because I want to do
Hmm.
the same thing over and over again, just kind of rinse and repeat this thing. And so yeah, that's why I made that comment, because not only was it kind of in a sick way fun for me
Yeah.
at the time, but it also produced the majority of my profit so far in my portfolio, even up to today, closing out a few things when Palantir was down and buying those leaps that you talked about. So
Yep.
yeah, so I mean, a red market. I think that's what's also interesting that I never knew as a newbie was I had no idea that you could make money when the market was totally tanking. And in all actuality, I've made the most money in my portfolio when the market is tanking.
Yep.
So it's it's kind of cool to see that no matter what the market is actually doing, you can make money.
100%, 100%. And now that you've went through it, it's like it's a mindset. I love the comment that you made because that's the exact mindset that I have. And now that you have it, it's like something you can just
Right.
continue with going forward, right? Do you see yourself trading forever? Like, do you see this is
Absolutely.
kind of a
Yeah.
everyday thing for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately for me, when I get into things, I kind of take them to the next level. So
Yeah.
as I was explaining right before we hopped on the interview, I've now got new iMacs set up, got all my screen up. I definitely don't have to, because the system that you're teaching, you don't have to get into all the numbers and the RSIs and all that stuff. Now you can if you want, but you don't have to. But now I'm finding myself getting more and more into it, again, because it's just another way to sort of supercharge the gains from my businesses. So now I'm taking profits from my businesses, putting those, whereas I used to, between seasons, stick them in a high yield savings account to gain
Hmm.
3.5, 3.75 safely, so that I could deploy them when cash flow is sort of low in my business, in my core businesses. Now I can take some money from there, throw it into a safe account, as we've talked about, make some
Yep.
safe trades, but still return 12% on that. So, I mean, you're talking a 4x difference from what I was getting before. So then I can return that capital back to my core business and really help supercharge that as well.
That's cool. That's very cool. And yes, and that's referring to the safe account channel that I just made into Discord. Okay. Yeah, that and that's something that I haven't like I don't really talk about on YouTube is that safe account. But yeah, it's cool because you can have an account too to where you're like, hey, I'm going to be place very safe trades on this particular on these funds and still return, like you said, beat a high yield savings account by 3, 4x,
Yeah,
right? So
absolutely.
very cool. Awesome, Jason. What would you say to someone who's new getting into options trading, or maybe they're on the fence about, getting mentorship or and just getting into trading in general? Yeah, what would you give to like a newbie?
Well, so I I I'll put it to you like this. I don't know that I would have done any of this if I didn't find you at Options Trading University. Because when you go on YouTube, you go down those rabbit holes where you click one video and then it takes you to somebody else's video and somebody else. And so I wasn't interested in initially in trying to teach myself how to research these companies, look at the earnings per share, look at total cash flow, that kind of stuff. I don't have the time and I wasn't really interested in trying to do that. But when I found you, what was so interesting is, your whole system was, hey guys, come in here. And not only will I show you, I'll share my trades with you so that even if you do nothing else, just copy my trades. That's it. It's all you have to do. You don't have to learn a thing if you don't want to. And then, as I told you before, I really enjoyed that you've created this community where we can all talk, we can share ideas, we can share losses, we can share profits, we can bounce things off of each other. And so I think what you've created there, that really for me is my options experience so far. So it's a very positive, super high experience. If I were just out there doing options by myself, I'd probably have quit, like I said, April 10. There'd be no reason for me to keep going because I wouldn't have had a support team behind me saying, Jason, just stay the course. Just trust us. It's gonna get green. I promise. Um, so, I think again, that's just a testament to you and your teachings. But yeah, I mean, so it's hard for me to give just generalized options experience because I think everybody's program is probably different. But I think you've set out to make an easy to follow, easy to understand program that people with zero experience can jump into and become successful. And I mean, I don't want to set a unreasonable timeline for people, but I mean, I did it in 15 days. So if I can do it in 15 days, working 7 days a week, you can't tell me that somebody that's working Monday through Friday can't do it in 30 days. Um, so I think again, that's just a testament to your program and your teachings and the way that you've developed this program.
100%. Thank you for that feedback, Jason. Yeah, I mean, again, yes, your success in 15 days is like, I would never tell someone, hey, in 15 days, you're going to see the profits that, Jason had, but it's possible, anything is possible in these types of markets, especially when they're super volatile. So that's what's cool about it, and even if it took 3 months, hey, that's still, a very quick time to learn something and then start applying it and generating pretty decent income from. So,
Yeah. And I
um,
think, Ryan, if I could add, I think generally speaking, people are going to shy away when they hear price tags of anything, right? Especially price tags of things that aren't close to free. And as you and I talked about before, you absolutely get what you pay for. And I can pretty much guarantee if you follow Option Trading University's system and you become an active part of our community, that you're going to pay for your whatever you pay for your membership fee, you're going to pay for that very, very quickly. So the return on investment there is very, very high. Matter of fact, I would be shocked if someone within 6 months didn't, and I'm using 6 months as like the back end target here, didn't pay for their membership fee. Um, because again, I'm already seeing it in our community where people are saying, hey guys, guess what? In 6 weeks, I just paid for my entire membership, which is awesome to see. Because
yeah,
that means those folks, to include myself, are getting a very high return on investment.
100%. And that's the goal. That's the goal. I want you to see those returns to obviously pay for the membership fee, but also like, every month after in the future, you're going to be yielding returns, right? So awesome, Jason. I appreciate you hopping on the call and kind
Yeah,
of
man.
sharing your experience, and I'm sure we'll do it again.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Thanks so much, man.